But when you're looking for a B vitamin complex, you want to be looking for something that's actually been coenzymated, or meaning that it's methylated and it's metabolically active. Because there are certain individuals, and it's interesting, I don't know if you've seen numbers lately, but it feels like every time I go and I Google, MTHFR, like what's going on with our genes and are we able to convert B vitamins? Like the percentage of people that can't do this conversion due to missing certain genetic profiles and is increasing, right? Magnesium is interesting in that what we know it's doing in the body is there's about 600 to 800 enzymatic reactions that require magnesium or they don't even take place. So, so often people are like, I can't sleep because my legs are restless, or my muscles are cramping, or things like this, or I'm having, my chest is feeling tight. I don't know so much if magnesium is like the thing that's helping with stress, or that our body is stressed out because it's lacking in magnesium.
Welcome back to the Healthy Habit Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dayan of Healthy Habit Medical Center. And today in our part 1 of 2 discussion with natural factors, we're talking to Carrie G. Pattison, back with us here today, practicing herbalist, licensed acupuncturist, and trained home birth midwife. Carrie's a graduate of the National University of Natural Medicine and is currently working on her doctorate in integrative healthcare. Originally from Alaska, Carrie's love for travel and social justice issues in the developing world led her to undergraduate degrees focused on global development and relief, and fuels her lifelong passion for health and healing. Carrie, welcome back to part 1 of 2.
Thanks. Yes.
And
I'm
congrats.
Always excited to be here.
Me too. And congrats on your doctorate, working on that. When are we due to be done there?
It's self-paced. So when I can get,
no rush.
Like, this is on me, and try not to be stressed out about it.
You don't want to rush a doctorate. So congrats on that. So today we're going to be talking stress, relax, nighttime strategies, things like magnesium, and then how to optimize sleep in general. So let's take a couple steps back. What are the effects of stress, both short and long term? And, sometimes you don't feel it until it all builds up too much and then it all comes out. So that's how important shows like this are, to be preventative when it comes to stress too. So tell us the effects of this. What's happening in the body?
I really like this quote from Dr. Mark Hyman, who's a functional MD, and he says, if you really knew what stress was doing to you, you would freak out. Because I think we don't realize how it affects us even down to the cellular level. And long-term effects of stress can, lead to things like heart disease and immune health being compromised, even lower bone density. We don't think about some of these long-term effects. But then, of course, we know about the just like in the moment effects where we're cranky and we can't sleep and we're feeling, pulled in a million different directions. But I think we tend to assume that stress comes from that situation where you're trying to pack your kids up for school in the morning and one of them's screaming and the other one can't find a shoe, and you're, ran out of bread to make their peanut butter and jelly sandwich, like that sort of everyday stress, when we forget that good things can be stressful too, right? New environments can be stressful for us. Going on a date with somebody where you're excited, but that's stressful, or working out too much, actually, or any sort of workout. You go to the gym, you lift weights. That is a stressful experience for your body, even though we don't cognitively think about it as stress. It's impacting us on that cellular level. And so what we need to do is really be approaching, how do we stop these stress situations from affecting us? How do we get our bodies out of that fight or flight scenario and have us be in a state of Zen calm all the time?
Yeah. And it's impossible to avoid it completely
Exactly.
unless we go live in the forest. And even that would have its own
Well,
stresses then.
so yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
not to brag or anything, but I literally just got back 2 days ago from the Amazonian jungle.
Wow.
And like no stress for me at all, right? I'm so happy out there, but the some other people that were on the trip with me were walking through the jungle and I'm like, this is heaven. And they're freaking out because there's a spider,
There you go.
so like it was a stressful experience for them, even though we would not think about it being a stressful experience. So any environmental shift and change is stressful. Like I think about even being on an airplane, we might not recognize that as stress if we enjoy being on an airplane, but our bodies, are they meant to be going 500 miles per hour?
Right.
I don't know. So it is something that's going to impact us every day and every moment.
Right. And so that's why shows like this are important, so we can at least help people get the nutrients on board that our body burns through while we're under such high amounts of stress, like magnesium and
Yes.
vitamin C
Vitamins and B
and
vitamins.
B vitamins. So then what would be the symptoms then when the body's like, it started to overflow, where it's like, what, you just start shutting down, more sleep, now you're not as rested anymore throughout the day? What are some burnout symptoms to look out for?
When I think about some of the main burnout symptoms, what I think about is what we would refer to as adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, right? And this is a situation where somebody's stress hormones just your body can't keep up anymore, right? Because it's constantly trying to address stress with things like cortisol, which is coming from our adrenals, which are they're fun little parts of our body. They're actually an endocrine. It's a little gland, that part of our endocrine system that lives on the top of our kidneys. And we forget about it. Like, right? We don't care about our adrenals until it's a problem. So you think about craving foods. So if you crave too much sweet or too much salt, that can be a symptom of adrenal fatigue. If you're not sleeping at night, or specifically, I think about if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you can't get back to sleep, you got that busy brain thing going on. This is another really pretty clear indication for me that you have some adrenal situation that we need to be looking at. Fatigue, you're crashing through the day. If you are 1 to 3 in the afternoon, these specific time frame, like where's my cup of coffee, I'm falling asleep, that automatically you have a cortisol issue. We need to be supporting your adrenals. Like that's kind of like the ultimate litmus test. And everybody can be like, oh, it's 2:00. Like if that's happening to you, please go into your natural health food retailer and say 1 to 3 in the afternoon, I cannot get through that period of time without, a cup of coffee. They're going to be able to support you. Mood swings, brain fogs, trouble. Like it's just kind of honestly all of the things that we deal with almost every day, right? So I really like when I step back and look, I'm like our entire population is dealing with some sort of chronic stress situation, and we're not talking about it.
Right. Yeah, and then there's no effective strategies that people are using to cope with it, right? So especially with gaining weight, then if you're under stress, you're going to be way more likely to have cheat days, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So then that
Yeah,
can
or
contribute.
it's going to be, I can't wait for happy hour. I need that that beer, that cocktail at the end of the day, or the ice cream at night, or whatever it is, that then is filling kind of a void for us
Yeah.
of not addressing it. And there's a huge connection between stress and fat.
No question. I'm glad you mentioned alcohol because that throws off your leptin and ghrelin hormones and can literally promote diabetes. It's an underlying factor, like a hidden root cause that people aren't really discussing.
Yes. Yep.
For
Well, and also significantly eating away at your B vitamins, right? Which is helping to cause a stress cascade as well. So,
right.
Yeah, it's not the solution that people think it is.
What would be your top on the list then, since we mentioned B vitamins already a couple times here in the first couple minutes, for natural factors? What's a good B vitamin option? I know there's just like the general high potency. I gave this one recently.
The
within the last
active
couple
B.
weeks. Yes.
Oh, yes, yes. I love the active B complex because it is a combination of all of these B vitamins that we will need every day. And I really like B complexes, right? Because we're getting a little bit of all of the things. And so there are two specific B vitamins that we talk about when we talk about stress, and that's B6 and B12. So somebody could supplement with just those, but really honestly, we're probably deficient in all of our B vitamins and they all work synergistically together. So having all of them is really important. But when you're looking for a B vitamin complex, you want to be looking for something that's actually been coenzymated, or meaning that it's methylated and it's metabolically active. Because there are certain individuals, and it's interesting, I don't know if you've seen numbers lately, but it feels like every time I go and I Google, MTHFR, like what's going on with our genes and are we able to convert B vitamins? Like the percentage of people that can't do this conversion due to missing certain genetic profiles and is increasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's on average there's like 25% of Hispanics that can't do this. So it's something that's very prevalent in our society. And what that means is we ingest a B vitamin and our body can't use it because our body has to convert it into this coenzymated form. So this is where, you buy one that's already coenzymated. It comes in that active form. It is already immediately being able to be absorbed by the body. Another thing that I love, side note about the active B complex from Natural Factors, is that we've got our farm fresh factors in there. If you scroll down, you'll see 22 vegetables, 11 fruits, 10 herbs, 6 sea vegetables, so much of it coming directly from our own farms as well. And this is just going to help activate those B vitamins because food as medicine, right? So it's just a little extra something to take the supplement over the top. One thing I will point out above, though, I think the average consumer could pick this up and go 20,000% of B12. No, this is the amount that our bodies need pretty much every single day. We have to step back and we have to discuss what this daily value percentage means. And at the end of the day, I think you'd agree with me, this is a meaningless number. It's a number that was created for all of our nutrients 50s, 60s, and 70s by people that didn't necessarily have the background in nutrition. They also didn't have the data or research. And so now, even if we do have that data and research, these numbers haven't been updated. So stepping back and just thinking about like vitamin D, we know vitamin D3 specifically is critical for health. This number, if you see something that says 100% of your vitamin D, all that's doing is preventing rickets. These numbers were made for nutrient deficiency diseases. It was not about thriving at all. So 100% of your vitamin C, this is going to prevent you from having scurvy. It's not about thriving. And especially when we talk about B vitamins and stress. Our bodies burn through B vitamins, trying to support our adrenals, trying to support liver health, trying to support our immune system, trying to support cognitive health as well. And this is where we have to have something that's been appropriately and so made with, and I think the key word here would be efficacious amounts of ingredients, right? Something that we have clinical research and data on, knowing this is the amount we need every day. And that's what the active B complex has been put together for.
Again, that's the active B complex full spectrum coenzyme Bs, the most metabolically active form of B vitamins. And as Carrie was mentioning there, a high percentage of the population, they could be taking in all the B vitamin rich foods, but then they're not methylating it, right? So the body can't even use it. So that's
they're taking a complex that has 100% of everything. So this is one of the things I like to teach when I'm in stores is if you pick up a supplement and you see 100% or less of things in there, put that back on the shelf and run. Like that is, the most, like that's a waste of your money.
Right. And I was going to bring up vitamin C and you beat me to it. That's a perfect example. Like they say your body can't use more than 200 milligrams. That's that's just to get by. Like you said, that's just to prevent scurvy, really. But then there's this whole gray area where you need more with all the different stresses we have going on each day, right? So,
And vitamin C is such a huge thing for people with adrenal fatigue, right?
yeah.
And we've all experienced the thing where we go on vacation or we stop for a moment and de-stress, maybe like we can let it all go, and then we get sick because our immune system
Yeah.
at that point in time has been so overrun that it's like it can't do anything when that time comes. So vitamin C is such an important cofactor for our adrenals and the role of utilizing other nutrients in our adrenals. And this is where we talk about, I don't know how much you guys, you and Dr. Aaron prescribe, but I've seen numbers where it's like people with adrenal fatigue, you need like 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams, and that's a big difference from the 200 milligrams that you just mentioned.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And many other conditions as well, even cardiovascular. You're right. 2,000 plus to really start getting into therapeutic levels. But you want to split it up ideally over the day, maybe like 500 at a time. But everyone's different. They might be able to tolerate 1,000 at a time without the loose stool. So it really depends. So what else can we do to cope with chronic stress? We hit on the coenzymated Bs. We just mentioned vitamin C. What else? Maybe magnesium we can highlight, because that's another one that at least 87% of people are deficient in. So
at least 87%. I know. Can you believe? And that's a number that every time you look into it, keeps going up and up. And this is, an essential nutrient. We're required to supplement with it. And I think that it's one that most people say, oh, we get it from our food. Well, we don't get it from our food anymore, because this is a mineral and it would need to be absorbed by the plant from the soil in order for it to come into us. And soil has no nutrients anymore, right? Unless it's a beautiful regenerative farm like we have at Natural Factors, you're more than likely not getting any of those deep nutrients that you need. So yeah, looking for minerals like magnesium. We have a wide range of magnesium products. One of my favorites actually are deep ocean minerals, which I know we don't talk about very often, but it's kind of popped up on my radar lately as a reminder of, oh yeah, this is really great for stress. And especially like, I really like thinking about magnesium and the deep ocean minerals specifically as micro minerals and micronutrients, like after we're working out, or like I had it with me in the jungle, because it was 102 degrees and 100% humidity, and I'm just like pouring out my electrolytes. So anytime we need like a little extra electrolyte support. But magnesium is interesting in that what we know it's doing in the body is there's about 600 to 800 enzymatic reactions that require magnesium, or they don't even take place. So, so often people are like, I can't sleep because my legs are restless, or my muscles are cramping, or things like this, or I'm having, my chest is feeling tight. And this is where you take magnesium and it just calms you down right away. It like can turn off the brain. It can relax the muscles. It can really be such a supportive tool. And I think it's fascinating thinking about it from a stress perspective, because I don't know so much if magnesium is like the thing that's helping with stress, or that our body is stressed out because it's lacking in magnesium, right? So when we supplement with magnesium, we see these wonderful benefits for stress, when maybe it's just because we're so deficient in it that our body is like, can't handle it anymore. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We don't know which comes first.
We don't. Yeah. Chicken and egg thing with magnesium there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We can dedicate an entire 3-part series to just magnesium alone. We had here on the menu, on the radar for today, the stress relax nighttime magnesium, which we'll highlight for sure. But I've also been giving a lot of the magnesium Bisglycinate lately in the capsule format from Natural Factors, because it has that glycine with it.
The glycine is such a nice amino acid for calming and relaxing, and we know that it has a little bit more of that stress reduction aspect to it. Another thing that I really like about magnesium bisglycinate or magnesium glycinate. It's written, it's the same exact thing. If you see it on a label, it says glycinate or bisglycinate, just know that
It's the
those are
same
just
thing.
two different ways of saying the chemical
Okay.
structure for it. Yeah. And it is in our nighttime magnesium formula as well. That's the kind of magnesium that's in there.
Okay.
And this one tends to be a little bit more gentle on the stomach. So that's really the one that I like to go for people if they're like, every time they get stressed out, they're running to the bathroom,
Right.
right? So we know that there's like a little extra of that sensitivity in the gut. Then the bisglycinate is really nice because it's a little bit more gentle. You're not going to find any sort of bowel things with this form of magnesium.
And for the YouTube viewers, this is straight from naturalfactors.com. You can just type in
Mm-hmm.
nighttime magnesium bisglycinate. So, and then there is the one that I was just mentioning, the standalone magnesium bisglycinate in the capsules. This
Yes,
one's more designed for sleep nighttime use, correct? So let's dive into
correct.
the individual ingredients in here.
Yeah, so we've got that magnesium in here, right? So this is going to be really wonderful for more of like the body aspect of relaxing things,
Right.
and calming the mind down as well. But then we have other ingredients in here that are going to calm the mind too. Because so often I think people are like, I just can't get my brain to shut off, or oh, I can fall asleep, no problem, but I'm waking up in the middle of the night and then the hamster wheel thing's
Yeah.
going and I can't get back to sleep, or I'm waking up in the middle of the night with my legs cramping. This is like going to take care of all of those things together in
Mm-hmm.
one delicious. It actually tastes amazing. So we've got pharma GABA in here, and this is GABA is one of our main neurotransmitters, and it's known as our inhibitory neurotransmitter, meaning it calms things down. Its job is to essentially put the brakes on the stress response. We were talking about cortisol and the adrenals, and cortisol is like the thing that makes us go like this, like ah.
Yeah.
Well, GABA shuts down cortisol. Like it just lowers it, it normalizes it, it takes us out of that. I'm trying to think about, for people who aren't viewing, that feeling. It's like every cell in your body is like about to snap, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
just like on edge. The GABA is something I love. Like one of the latest experiences I had with it was I was riding with somebody, they got pulled over by a cop because they were speeding.
Yeah.
And, so I'm not stressed out, but I'm stressed out for them. And they're really stressed out, and like your cortisol, your adrenaline, adrenaline, norepinephrine is through the roof at that point in time. I reached in my bag, gave her some pharma GABA, and like
Yeah.
10 minutes later, she was like, what just happened? Because, completely normalized again. So that's really lovely. If we're laying in bed and we're just ruminating, turn
Right.
that off. A sister to that then is the theanine, which is an amino acid that works in the brain so GABA is our inhibitory neurotransmitter. So we're putting the brakes, we're calming things down. Well, our excitatory neurotransmitter, its partner is glutamate. This is the thing that gets everything going. But
Yeah.
when we have too much of it, that's when we go into these chaos states. So theanine works by turning down glutamate. So we are working and balancing out our inhibitory and our excitatory neurotransmitters and having it just be a happy space
Right.
in our brain. And I think most people are aware of melatonin and its benefits for sleep, right? This is the number one hormone that our bodies release in order to help us go to sleep. I think that what's really fascinating about melatonin and why I like it in like a powdered supplement form like
Right.
this is that the vast majority of melatonin is actually synthesized during the day in our gut. It's not in our brain. So this
Hmm.
is where it's like going outside, getting a little bit of sunshine, telling our body it's daytime is so important. And then we can
Right.
tell our body it's nighttime. And melatonin will then tell our brain like it's nighttime, and we should go to bed.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, melatonin's sister hormone is cortisol. So
Okay.
if we have, like I was saying, that if you're 1 to 3 in the afternoon struggling, you've got a cortisol adrenal issue. If you're waking up between 1 to 3 in the morning, you're going to have an adrenal cortisol issue, right? It's
Right.
all connected, and it all leads back to how our bodies are reacting to stress.
Right. Or if you cannot function in the morning without the coffee. Don't get me wrong, I
Yes.
love the morning coffee. It's just the
Oh yeah.
routine, it's the habit.
Mm-hmm.
It's in, but if you like maybe, well, I'm going to take 2 days break and still go work out and run without having the coffee. I mean, that means obviously you're dependent on it, right? But
Yes, yeah, and I'm that's where I've been suggesting lately. If you're going to do your coffee, that's awesome. Do some suntheanine with it at the same time.
yeah.
Because what we find is that suntheanine balances out the negative aspects of caffeine while promoting the positive aspects. So you're actually gonna you're gonna enjoy your coffee experience even more.
Is that the type of L-theanine that's in the sleep relax magnesium
It
formula?
is, yes.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So there we go. 24 minutes have gone by just like that, but this was a perfect like 1-2 punch here in our part 1 of 2 with potentially doing the coenzymated B vitamin capsules and then maybe
Yep.
at nighttime after sunset finishing the day off with that relaxed magnesium powder. That
I
might be a good
think that'd
combo.
be a really, really amazing combo for everybody.
Right, and you're giving your
Mm-hmm.
body vitamins and really minerals and neurotransmitters that it needs already.
Yeah.
It's actual things that your body needs to keep
Yes.
stress at bay. It's not
Yeah, a lot of these
herbs
things
or other
are,
things.
yeah, yeah, these are naturally occurring things that we should already have in our body
Right.
for so many of them.
So in the last 30, 45 seconds or so, what's a good recap then in our part 1 of 2, B vitamins, magnesium, in our intro to our series here on sleep, relaxation, and stress?
Well, I think we just need to think about how much our body is burning through nutrients when we are
Right.
stressed out and making sure that we have adequate amounts of these essentials, really. They are essential nutrients. Our bodies are not going to function without them. So making sure that we are getting those numbers that are the clinically relevant numbers that are going to be efficacious is so important.
Thank you, as always, for your time, Carrie. And folks,
Yeah.
stay tuned because we got a part 2 coming up with Carrie in about a week or so. So
Mhm.
thank you for your time.
Yeah, for sure.